Govardhana Parapite Bhuvana Mangala. Dandavat Pranams, welcome. Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, starting a little bit later today. We're here live at the SoCal Seva Ashram. My name is Vaidehi Devi Dasi, and here is our beautiful Guru Varga. And the deities are currently closed, but once they open, we'll put the camera in that direction. And we have some special guests today in the temple room. Jai! This is Sushila and Damodar. Yeah, Damodar, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Hi, Haribo! Oh, it's so cute. Okay, so hi Haribalaba, Dandavat, Divya Shakti is watching. Dandavat Divya. We're just starting right now, and we have some special guests today in the temple room. And okay, we'll begin. So today is Monday. It's a waxing. We went past the first quarter moon. I don't know why I'm telling you that. I guess it's because we pay attention to the new moons, full moons, and we have some. Oh, this Friday we have the beach bonfire kirtan at 6 p.m. at Moran Lake Beach. So if you're watching from Santa Cruz or the Bay Area, you're welcome to join. Everybody's included and welcome. The point is Harinam Sankirtan and also kids playing at the beach. That's the other nice point. So please come if you are in town. And also Vishaka Didi is going to be touring and traveling, and she'll be coming to visit sometime in August. So stay tuned for that. We'll have some kirtan events planned around that time. And I know she's going to be visiting some other cities and places. So stay tuned for those announcements. I'm sure she'll be going live. Okay, so today, let's see, anything else happening? I think that's it. I don't have the calendar in front of me. But yeah, today we... I wanted to talk about this thing that I've been thinking about. And, you know, I was having a conversation with some devotees, different devotees, about different topics. And one of them was about how Krishna consciousness is really a living thing, and how our gurus are actually a living, dynamic flow. They're not something from the past, the memories of the past of Gurudev, but actually our Guru Varga is very dynamic and alive and present. And so when we think about our practicing life, sometimes we have a tendency to think, okay, this is service, or this is practicing life, or this is what it looks like to be devotional, but we actually don't really know what exactly that is. And it's not something that comes from our external action or from some act of, you know, our physical body moving, but rather it's something that comes from inside. And that thing that's coming from inside, that mood, that spirit, that feeling, that's where the root of service lies. And so, speaking about this idea of how dynamic and present our practicing life is, it's really inspiring, because so often we'll reminisce and think about the past and be sad or lose our enthusiasm or lose our drive. And I remember the difference between having Gurudev here and not having Gurudev here, right? There's this like electricity in the air in his presence. There is this joy, there is this mood of bounty, of abundance. And when I remember Gurudev's time here and his presence here, more than anything, what I remember is a feeling. This feeling and this joy, and more like everything in my environment reminds me of Gurudev, of something inspiring. And so with him not physically being present, it can be easy to fall into maybe a slumber, if you will, or a sense of feeling not that same electricity and aliveness. And then sometimes we behave in such a way as to, okay, well, I'll do this when I'm in the temple, or I will engage in this way when I'm in the temple. And that's also very beautiful, because that's what temples are there for. They're there to encourage and inspire us and to create that mood all around us. And so in that way, they're very helpful. But how can we keep that within at all times, not just when someone's watching or when we think someone's watching? Because the truth is that the eye of the Lord is always watching, and the inspiration and the bounty and the enthusiasm and the joy that we experience in connection to serving Gurudev is always accessible to us, and it's always there, but it's just a matter of us turning to it. So tuning into that channel. And lately I've been thinking about how like the mind is really I don't know, sometimes the mind is Maya's evil accomplice, and sometimes the mind is our friend. But really, the only way the mind is our friend or becomes our friend is when it is tuned into the divine channel and frequency. Because let's just face it, the mind is a dominant personality. The ego is a dominant personality, and it wants to have dominion over everything that it surveys. And that's why it picks things apart. It is driven towards some things and it rejects other things. But when we are plugging the mind into the comfort of our senses, or into the comfort of maybe the trajectory of lethargy that we're on, it can be very easy to have our mind quickly become Maya's accomplice. And so I was listening to a book about discipline and about, entrepreneurs, and they really get into the mind space and how, our ability to be disciplined isn't something that is based on our feeling. Like, oh, when I feel good, I'm gonna do this, or when I feel it. And oftentimes it's very easy to be driven by our feeling and to have that be our way that we discern whether something is good or something is bad. And the reason this topic is coming up is because I've been observing how it takes an army of devotees to cover the services of the devotees whose minds are 24/7 absorbed in the mood of service. And something that I've noticed that's consistent amongst all of these beautiful devotees, whether it's Sureshwari or Ramai or Kalindi or Bimala or Divya Shakti, who are these like stalwart, dedicated servitors. And the thing is that it's something that comes naturally from them. They're not like trying or putting on any show. It's just who they are and what they do. And I realized they don't just do things based off of a feeling. They have a sense of duty, and they have a sense of responsibility, and a sense of how their servicing life has been molded into their life. Like honestly, like when I'm with my mom, she can't stop talking about her service, and she can't stop talking about the spots being filled and who's where. And I mean, it's nice, but it's, for me, sometimes not nice, because it's stressful, because it's hard to find, that kind of dedication. And something that's, we don't realize who these people are until we try to at least like put on their shoes, not even like walk in them or fill them, but just try to like try them on. And we see, wow, these people have these devotees have a capacity that is unmatchable. And that capacity has come from their dedication. It's come from their commitment and mood of really being available to what service is. It's not like they choose what service is, and they choose who's advanced and who's not advanced, and who gets to be served and who doesn't get to be served. They are 100% dedicated to really exhibiting and embodying that mood to everyone they meet. And if you think about these people I just named, like, check my credentials, check their credentials, like it's non-different. The way that they treat others is the way they also show up in their service, with care, with love, with affection. And I just have been thinking about that, and how our mind is so easily swayed by feeling or by desire. But how can we make our mind actually move naturally in the direction of service connection? And, you know, there's devotees all over the world, and there are sometimes not temples accessible. So then, does that mean that the devotees that are not in the temple, they're not doing service? Does service look like a certain thing? Does service look like sweeping the floor? It can. Does service look like cooking something? It can. Does service look like raising children? It can. Does service look like gardening? Right? So service is really something that is being given to us as an opportunity for more connection. Service is not just like the act of doing something, but rather it is that thing, it's that way in which we experience a connection to the transcendental plane, and it somehow inspires us, increases our capacity, gives us more realization. And last week on Thursday, we were reading from Revealed Truth, and Gurudev in that Revealed Truth was speaking about how where there is this feeling of light and joy and enthusiasm, that's revealed truth. It's that light and that enthusiasm that's coming from deep within. And when we think about, you know, the qualities that we desire, right? Confidence, enthusiasm, truth, faith, right? There's all these different beautiful qualities that are listed. So how can we begin to get off of the training wheels of thinking that this particular thing or only that particular thing is going to give it to us? And how can we begin to open ourselves up to this consciousness, to this being a movement of consciousness, an unfolding of consciousness, a service mood that's, you know, coming from our consciousness. And of course, the sadhana, right? The spiritual practice, our everyday repetition of something makes us better at it. So when, again, I think about Kalindi and Sureshwari and Ramai and Divya Shakti and Bimala and these, I'm just listing, you know, some of the devotees here that are extremely inspiring, then I think about their discipline and their dedication and their commitment and their sense of responsibility. So what I'm observing is that for any sort of transaction or project or goal or transformation that we wish to desire, there is a requirement of dedication and commitment and responsibility, a bigger connection to our why, if you will. And so in this book that I was reading about, you know, discipline and how you master discipline, it's really connecting to what is that deeper why? What is that higher why? And I'll just speak from my own example that when I was, you know, I grew up here in the SoCal Seva Ashram, and Gurudev came many times. And at that time, my motivating why for anything and everything that I did in relation to service was Gurudev smiling, like Gurudev being happy, Gurudev being happy with me. That was my only why. I just wanted him to, when he saw me, to feel happy about me. And I knew that, you know, what made him happy was sharing Krishna consciousness with others. Sharing and keeping the mood of distribution alive. I just knew that. And as I did that, my wishes came true, where I was able to really connect with him and speak with him and have a relationship with him that was so inspiring and encouraging and like a dream come true when he was here. And that relationship continues to be there with me and for me. And I notice that the more that I commit and recommit again and again to that initial intention of making him happy, the more it keeps me on track. And the more that it's a deeper why that I can connect with, right? And something I've been noticing in my life, but like so much beauty and abundance comes into my life. And so then I remember what I read last week in the Revealed Truth about how, where is that feeling of light and joy? That is special. That's something right there, right? Like,
it's just really nice and inspired by you.
That's so beautiful. See, sometimes your service is also inspiring other devotees, or sometimes we get inspired by other devotees. So what I notice is that doing something to make them happy shines beauty, joy, and abundance in my life. And so that's our service connection, is connecting with that thing that brings that sunshine into our lives. Bless you, Damodar. And so just for example, today on my walk with my mom, and I did it as a service to her. And I say this not just because she's my mom, she's also a Vaishnavi, but especially because she's my mom. She's a very blessed devotee who I have the fortune of calling my mom. Haribo! Dandavad, Sushila. Bye, Damodar. So cute. Wait, do you want to wave goodbye? Haribo! Jai! Sushila ki jai! Damodar ki jai! Premanidhi ki jai! Bye! He's so cute. I just noticed that, even though I had so much to do today, even though I was already stressed, like I felt like I woke up and I'm already late for everything, and now I have additional activities to help my mom's health. And so I was stressed out, but I thought, I have to do it. I have to go on a walk with her. I have to take her on a walk because it's good for her health, right? So this deeper why, right? This deeper why is making her happy, having her feeling healthy, and doing things that are healthy for her, and pausing what I needed to do in that moment. But it gave me a lot of joy, and it also brought me connections and opportunities and things that were very special to me as well. And it's just interesting how that happens, how sometimes we think that, for example, well, here's another topic, is that sometimes we neglect our own health and our own self-care for service, but that place that feels forced and draining and strenuous, it's important to hear that and to pause, because when that kind of energy enters the space, it also can sometimes lead to exhaustion, to burnout, and to, feeling overwhelmed. And so something I've noticed for sustainability in my spiritual life is to stay in that place that feels easeful. And it's not just on some oh, everything needs to feel good and great, but it's more like, what is my capacity and what is my true nature that's always going to keep me in alignment. And when I move outside of that, or try to do more than I am, or that I can, or then whatever it is against, paying attention to what I need, then sometimes it can lead to crashing and crumbling. And it doesn't mean we don't push past our limitations, but that's, sometimes we think that going on that walk for ourselves is not service, right? Or we think that eating a certain way is not service, or but when we think about the deeper why, right? The deeper consistency, the sustainability, the joy or the health with which we're also experiencing life and our service connection, then we can remember that light, where there is that light and that vibration and that wholesomeness. That's a way that we're able to keep ourselves in a state of sustainability and balance, because spiritual life doesn't look like it does for every single person. It doesn't look for one person or to one person like it does to another person. So we have to really recognize and understand what our connection is, what our nature is, who we are, and how we can show up. And there are times where we push against the grain and go beyond our capacity, and there are times where we have to stay balanced. And so, that's one thing that I would like to add, is the importance of following, a little bit more that balance that keeps us feeling healthy as well. And so sometimes we don't recognize that service can also be taking a walk on the beach, right? Or reading that book, or organizing our belongings, or recording that stream of consciousness that came through, or making that song, because we don't know how it's going to reach somebody else. We don't know who it's going to lead us to and what kind of opportunities can open. So yes, service, right? And what is service and the connection, but also trusting a little bit in our well-being being fulfilled, in our connection being felt and experienced and listened to, so that we're not just copying somebody else or moving like everybody else is without really acknowledging our own capacity. It's so important to stay in that place where we are able to serve from happily, because Gurudev wants us to be happy. And so if you are feeling unhappy and underwhelmed or overwhelmed in your material life, and like you are not feeling that connection, then perhaps it's a sign to expose yourself to some service opportunity, because that service opportunity carries you. It carries you, and it creates a sense of accountability for yourself. We have to have a sense of balance with our spiritual life, our material life, our spiritual activities and our so-called material activities. But those so-called material activities are also opportunities for us to offer to the Lord and to the temple and to our service. And so, for example, the other day I had a long, hard day and I was very tired, and I just wanted to go to sleep or needed to do something else. But instead I was like, stop, we're going on a walk. We're going on a walk. I need to go on a walk on the beach and breathe. And I was kind of like, oh, here I am going on a walk on the beach for myself. And then I step up to the beach, and this woman comes out of nowhere. I mean, yeah, she was walking across the street. And she says, I literally was just thinking about you. And I think I mentioned this last week or somewhere. I literally was just thinking about you, and it's kind of scary that you just appeared, but I'm having a kirtan event this weekend at my house. And I was thinking that I wish you could come and chant and sing. And I thought, wow, what I thought was a not service activity, taking care of myself and going on a walk, turned into an opportunity to share Krishna consciousness with so many people, right? And to be able to have some new ears that haven't heard the holy name or the holy name from our particular line be acquainted with that. And so another experience, going on a walk and meeting someone who, finds some sort of interest in connecting with you, and then they get to hear about Krishna consciousness for the first time, right? And then when we connect to that deeper why, and what is that thing that really pleases Gurudev, why is Mahaprabhu coming into this world? To share this conception, to share the holy name, to share, and it's really, I don't want to say beyond the holy name, but give me a second, because I really want to phrase this properly. First, let's preface by saying that Krishna consciousness is nectarian, life-giving nectar, right? And when we say Krishna consciousness, we don't really know what that means, but we have some idea that it has something to do with joy, with truth, with bliss, it's right. Krishna consciousness is mystical, it's philosophical, it's life-giving, it's community, it's music, it's dance, it's church, it's everything, right? Krishna consciousness is a reservoir of nourishment for the soul. It's a quenching of the thirst. So anybody can connect with Krishna consciousness no matter where they are in life, who they are, what their background is, and so on and so forth. And when you are a practitioner, right, people feel that vibration coming from you. And so when they see you, they experience something. And this is something I realized a long time ago when I was a teenager, at my community college, kind of like, Gurudev told me I need to finish my school, and I wish I could just be with Gurudev, and it was so hard to go to school when Gurudev was here. Excuse me. And he was going on walks and giving talks and singing, and I was like, and now I have to sit here in these classrooms. All I could think about was the temple. And then one day around Gayatri time, I decided to go sit in the grass and chant Gayatri. And I looked, and there were people walking by. And some people just ignored me and didn't notice, and some people smiled and paid attention. And I realized, wow, those people that are smiling and saying hi or taking notice, they have something. They have some sort of sukriti or some sort of radar for tuning in to what's emanating from me, right? Let's just, devotees are emanating something unique and different that most people pick up on for the most part. And the reason they pick up on that is because they've been activated with some sort of consciousness because of their own soul level search, and they're seeing that light reflecting in oneself, for example, as the practitioner living in this material world. So we are really beacons of light. Our service, when we think about it, like our real service opportunity and connection here is to be beacons of light, to be lifeboats, to really be like, like we're here. And people will pick up on that and be drawn to us. So pay attention to the messages that you get from your heart, from Paramatma. Because I was thinking about this and I thought, wow, Paramatma arranged for her to arrange a kirtan event, and for her to think about me, and for me to have that debate with myself about going to the beach or not, and then decide to go to the beach, and for us to cross paths at exactly that same time. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to that event because I had already planned a beach bonfire and it went on a bit longer than I had planned, and I didn't get to go, but I got to see how Gurudev, how Paramatma, how Krishna, how Vishnu is really, when we make ourselves available to being in service, to being those beacons of light, then those opportunities come. Krishna literally sends people, and that is such a great service. But what keeps us also buzzing with that field or that inspiration or that way of thinking is the association with the Shastra, Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, right? Is association with the deities, association with the temple, the association with the devotees who engage with you in Hari Katha. And I'm not just saying like, yeah, devotees hanging out and talking about like random things, but it's like those devotees that speak Hari Katha with you are who you can confide in and who inspire you and encourage you in your spiritual life, right? So that's how we keep that beacon of light alive for us. That's how we practice, right? Shravana kirtana smarana vandana parasevana dasya re pujana sakijana atmani vedana govinda dasa vilasa re, right? So hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet, worshiping, surrendering, right? It's not just something we do when we come to the temple and do puja for a second, or when we chant for a second, or we see Maharaj and he's watching and we're like, we're good devotees, and then he turns around and we're like, oh God, go back to like whatever we were doing. It's a thing that we cultivate at all times, right? When Janard Maharaj is not watching, when we're not in the temple room, when we're not live, all times, right? It's a way of life, and it's an inner posturing, right? It's an inner yoga. Remember, we're in yoga. This is a yoga practice. It's a mystical, deep, profound practice that comes from inside, and it's really like a divine transmission connection channel thing that gets activated. That's why we have the 9 limbs of surrender and the 9 processes of bhakti and all these das mool tattva, the 10 principles of truth. the more we expand our understanding of who we are, what is this world, what is the ultimate goal of life, and we really begin to see how it's a checks and balances system. Our material and our spiritual life are actually here to yoke. They're here to connect, to unite. And so there's a really, really important thing, right? We must keep our service connection. I remember one time I was, I always just wanted to stay in India with Gurudev, and eventually I got to do that, and that was great. But when I was first going to India, I would go for 4 to 6 months, and then I would come back for 4 to 6 months, and then I would go back for 4 to 6 months before I got to live there for 3 years straight. And I was always so sad to leave and kind of like, why do I have to leave? I don't want to leave. I just want to be with Gurudev all the time. And I was leaving, and I was asking him for some different instructions, and he was giving me different things and expanding each time I asked, right? And I also got lucky that he came to SoCal when I would have to come back. So that was like, yes, like in just a month he's coming. Like, I don't have to like drown for too long, right? Like that was really like when I was with him or around him, I just felt like, I could breathe. And then, how can we stay afloat whether he's here physically or not? Breathing all the time. That's what I'm saying, right? Being able to feel that nectarian breeze and connection all the time, whether we're on the boat or off the boat or swimming or whatever it is, we need to learn how to stay afloat and keep that balance, which is something I'm praying for, right? That balance to stay afloat and to increase capacity and to stay committed and to reconnect with that why of making him happy. But I remember he would always express, it's like continuing to give energy to a place, to a center, to a source. And if you're far away from the temples, you have so much opportunity to connect with the Shastra and to also connect with temples and offer service in some way from afar. But there's also this responsibility that we have to make everywhere we go a temple, to make our life a temple, to make our home a temple, to make this body a temple. And there's something that, goes with that. And something that I really admire about my friends, for example, in the LA ISKCON temple, is that everywhere they go, they're talking about Krishna and wearing their tulsi beads and wearing their tilak, and there's this like shine that comes from them. And I just think of them because they have a special place in my heart, and they are my age, and they were also born in the movement, and they do kirtan like 5 times a week. And so they're bringing their material life into their spiritual life, and their spiritual life into their material life. There starts to become this non-difference because they're choosing to bring that spiritual engagement into their everyday life. So, lately there's been a lot of talk about schedules and this schedule and that schedule, and not only at the temple, but also my schedule and my business. And I'm also coaching my clients about schedules and discipline and how important it is to have this as an entrepreneur. And so, our calendars must have a daily practice, a daily spiritual activity, whether you're reading for 20 minutes a day, or chanting your japa in the morning and then at night, or just in the morning or just in the evening, right? Or making it, touchdown, like coming to the temple every day, perhaps like at sunset. What are your activities for recharging and recommitting to your spiritual life? Because this is a marathon, not a sprint. We're not just gonna charge up to Krishna consciousness by our activity and pompousness and pride and holier than thou-ness and, whatever all these rushy things are about. No, it's a process that's descending, and it comes with time, and it takes a while to really be integrated into our life. And sometimes it comes quickly and powerfully and beautifully and magically, and you jump a couple flight of stairs or you get pulled up a couple flight of stairs or levitated up a couple flight of stairs. Everybody is different. But what's important is that we have a sense of responsibility to our practicing life, a real deep sense of commitment. And when you experience that joy and that connection and that current, that electric current, that light and that vibrancy that fills you, you're right there, right? We have to have some way of, oftentimes it's no, don't think you can feel anything. Oh, da, 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 da. And honestly, like, I get it, because we're not trying to be sahajas that are like wailing and fake crying. I get that instruction, but there is a feeling that comes from our heart. There is a mood, there is a light, an expansion, a joy, a transcendental spiritual bliss feeling that comes when we connect and when we allow our heart and our desire and our giving mood to actually be shared and distributed and channeled. It fills us up even more. And so know what that is for you. What is your source of connection? What is the service, the activity, the spiritual thing that keeps you feeling connected? Do that. Do more of that. And also go a little out of your comfort zone and sometimes do some things that push you there. Like, for example, doing the Mangal Aartis, right? Push you outside of your comfort zone. But guess what happens? You know, it creates a sense of discipline. It reminds me, like, oh my gosh, like, yes, I'm not just completely controlled by sleep, right? Or, oh, I can bring my life to a little more balance. What I find is that Krishna consciousness and service connection and practicing life is our medicine. And that medicine helps us to regulate those places where we're imbalanced. So if you're feeling out of balance and out of whack and your material life sucks, sprinkle a little Krishna consciousness or Krishna Katha on it. They're like enzymes, so it can like eat away at the undigested karmic crud that's sitting there, and so that you can begin to feel some relief. And the more you get in the discipline of feeding yourselves those enzymes at the time of digestion or eating, the more you're going to help your digestion until it's alive again and working, and you are properly assimilating and digesting, and things are starting to get into more balance. So what I'm saying is that service, practicing life, sadhana, shastra, you know, the balance, that it has to be a balance of all of these things, is our medicine. Because we have a tendency, remember, the three gunas are always competing with each other. They're always competing. Tamagund is always like, no, sleep, you be depressed, right? It's always like, come here, right? And Rajagun, the mode of passion, is always like, brah, like, roll out, shot. It's always like inspiring you to be impulsive and to like, you know, and then the mode of goodness is always, you know, it's what we relate to as being closest to that space of balance and wholesomeness. The mode of goodness is inspiring us to be more wholesome, to think before we speak, right? To create a balance, to rise with the sun. The mode of goodness is kind of like the balancing act between Rajagund and Tamas, right? So the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion. So how can we be more wholesome in our capacity, practice, understanding, self-awareness, meditation, sadhana, chanting, shastra, physical service? You know, it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility, right? It's not like, it doesn't work like someone else is going to do it for you, right? And so how can we definitely keep ourselves encouraged, keep ourselves collected, balanced, and healthy, is to really know yourself, know what that source is, and to get yourself to that source. It's, you know, get yourself to that source, pick up that book, tune into that live stream. Oh, we're so lucky that we have all these live streams, and we have, or live streams is really what they are. We have all these live streams, and we have temples. Come to the temples and chant, right? Like when I walked in today, I was so happy. Oh my gosh, someone's doing the bhajan. Sushila was singing, and I interrupted it because the class started. So sorry about that. And Premanidhi was on the altar, and it's like, oh, because they're here, I feel a sense of ease and I feel inspired. And, you know, because I honored that I have a certain capacity, and that this is my service connection tonight was to do this class, and I was going to feel overwhelmed if I did the evening and the arati and the this and the that. I had to honor that. And then guess what happened? Some new beautiful devotees came to do this service, and we all create an environment of enthusiasm and encouragement because we're being, we're honoring our capacity, we are communicating what's necessary, what's required, and we're working together as a team to keep ourselves in discipline, to keep ourselves alive and not drowning and overwhelmed. And how can we find that balance in our practicing life? Okay, so I think I'm going to start wrapping it up here because it's that time. So how can you just think for a moment, like, what is your service connection? Where is your service point, or what devotees inspire you? How can you stay connected and reach out to them? What is your nature and your service capacity? Get on that, right? For me, I have to honor that a big part of my service is sharing Krishna consciousness and also taking care of my beautiful Vaishnav mother, just like it is for mothers to take care of their children. That's a big service, raising Krishna conscious kids, right? And I get the fortune of taking care of my beautiful Vaishnavi mother, who has served endlessly pretty much her whole life, my whole life. And that's my service. And so is sharing Krishna consciousness and then helping as I can. And also my service is my business, cultivating my business and growing my business so that I can have my own foundation, right? Because guess what? Gurudev said to me, build your own foundation. So we have to build our own foundations of strength and of discipline and practice and really understanding our material pieces and how they work together and how can we show up in the best way possible in this material world so that we can also show up in the best way possible in our practicing life. And some balance can come from that. So it's not about neglecting yourself and your duties outside of what you think service is. Service is that connection which brings you joy and luminosity and which is life-giving and also pleases the devotees. And we are so lucky if we can make the devotees happy, right? Like sometimes I think, oh gosh, I'm going to give class and what in the world who am I and what am I even saying? And so Sheila was just leaving and saying, thank you, that was so encouraging. And I was feeling a little like guilty because I was like, I can't also do the arti tonight. Like I have to honor my space. And I was feeling like, ugh. And then instead it's so beautiful, right? And I get to inspire somebody and I get to show up happily and not just exhausted, right? We need those moments of truth and those, we need to have that kind of honesty with ourselves, and even better when we can have a community of God brothers and God sisters who support that and understand that. Like I told my God brother, I can't do it. And I felt supported and appreciated and not like I'm, so bad, right? And so we have to have that level of affection and team camaraderie and that feeling of teamwork really to thrive in our spiritual life, because life is not easy. Life is challenging. We know the material world, and we don't have to make our spiritual life a nightmare as well, right? We can allow our spiritual life to be pleasing and fulfilling and life-giving. Let's not make it a nightmare, right? Let's have good, harmonious dealings with each other. Let's mind our own business. Let's not compare ourselves. Last week we talked about the 4 agreements, not making assumptions, being impeccable with your word, not taking things personally, and doing your best, right? So spiritual life isn't just some like ethereal thing. Like it takes planning and strategy also, right? From our material perspective. For the self-realized beings, they're just like flowing in it. We have our material life, but our material life is to be offered in service, but we got to put some energy into it, some mind to it. We strategize to create those windows of opportunity for connecting with Krishna consciousness. Whether again, it's reading Shastra, chanting your japa, right? Your sadhana, showing up for the artis, watching the live streams, coming to the temples and helping. This is the Seva Ashram. There's so much opportunity here. So if you are local in Santa Cruz, come to the artis. Remember, this is Gurudev's land and these deities are here gracing us. Like, come on, this is a holy place, right? You know, forget the past that sleeps, ne'er the future dream at all, but act in times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call. Forget the past and whatever he said, she said, did, do, did not do, whatever the story is, that's dead. And what's alive is the Krishna Katha. What's alive is the darshan of the deities. What's alive is the Sankirtan. What's alive is the desire for Sankirtan in the hearts of the devotees. And so when you guys come, I get inspired. And when I see you singing, I want to sing. And so, you know, the more we come together to chant and to be a part of the artis, the more alive we feel. And the more we experience, what is this Sankirtan? Sankirtan's not just like, we go out downtown on Pacific Avenue, and it is Sankirtan too. But it's not just we go out on downtown on Pacific Avenue and then like chant and look all nice together for a second. It's also chanting and practicing together throughout the week in the temple room, passing around the Bhagavad Gita, right? And showing up for the artis together. I really miss those days when we had the devotees coming to the kirtans and to the artis. It's so lovely that it happens on Sundays too. It still happens. But if you're watching and you're in Santa Cruz, please come and sing to the deities. We need your beautiful singing voices. I see you. Jagadananda's watching. Who else is here? Jayanta, Narayani, Ilya, Madhav, Divya Shakti Haribalava, Nandarani. I see also Aditi from Los Angeles was watching, and everybody here. Om Karnath, come chant with us. Come sing with us. We need your voices. And again, if you are local this Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have some chanting happening at Moran Lake Beach here in Santa Cruz. You can literally Google it and it'll show up. Moran Lake Beach. I haven't really gotten into the swing of how it works to set up Facebook events, and but in the future we will have more things hopefully, but I'll be announcing them here. So please come. And also we have some amazing guests and visitors coming in the month of August. Vishaka will be coming, and we are doing our best to organize some kirtan activities and some beautiful activities in the temple and service activities. So stay tuned and be sure to come for that. We want to see your beautiful faces and hear you all singing and dancing in the temple room. And come, every day we have RT, 5:30 a.m. if you wake up that early or if you stay up that late. And 12 noon, here we have RT time in the temple room. The Samadhi Mandir is being worshipped every day, and you can come for that. Sit under the trees, chant your japa, maybe read a book, take a break from work, come chill. And then in the evening at 6:30 p.m. So these are the times to have that, to engage in that transcendental chanting, right? That transcendental sound vibration, to engage in kirtan. That's what these temples are here for. That's what, you know, Sankirtan is, together. And it doesn't mean just singing together down the street, but it also means singing together in the temple room and singing and dancing together in our movement of service and those activities that help to resound and spread this vibration everywhere. So remember that. Don't let Maya come in and like trick you with some intrigue and some other stuff about he said, she said, all that stuff. Forget the past that sleeps, ne'er the future dream at all. Act in times that are with thee, aka they're right here, right now. Come sing, come chant, and progress thee shall call. And this is a shout out to all the devotees who are local in Santa Cruz. Let's chant. Let's come and do some kirtan. So Thursday nights, if you'd like to come, please come. Thursday nights, I do the RT at 6:30, and we can hang out together. And I also do some of the bhajans, then we put the offering on the altar and then read from the revealed truth. And it'd be so nice if we had more of you here, because I'm like a mad woman juggling all of them. Actually, if someone could come this Thursday to sing with me and stuff, that would be really nice if anybody would like to volunteer. And then make sure you come on Friday at 6 p.m. And there are more opportunities for chanting, and we'll announce them soon. And that's it for now. I'll end with Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. And I'm now Pujari, so I'm gonna open the curtain, because I think our devotee that did the offering is now gone, and I'm gonna chant, and we'll sing Hari Haraya. I'm gonna open the curtain. I guess I'll step inside. So beautiful. Please send your emojis to the deities. You're watching live. They're here now. So just send some emojis. Let us know you're receiving this darshan, making sure you're all here. We get to communicate in this way. So if you'd like to sing along, if you're in the 7th edition of the Kirtan Guide, this song is called Nama Sankirtan. It's written by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. It's on page 60. And I'm just gonna sing, actually I'll sing call and response so that you guys can sing along. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Yaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Yaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Garadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Garadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha Jaya Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Echai Goshai Kori Charana Vandana Echai Goshai Kori Charana Vandana Javoite Vignana Savisa Purana Javoite Vignana Savisa Purana Echai Goshai Jadmu Itaro Dasa Echai Goshai Jadmu Itaro Dasa Sansabara para renu mora pancharasa Sansabara para renu mora pancharasa Tadira charana se vibhakta sane basa Tadira charana se vibhakta sane basa Janame janame more abhilasa Janame janame more abhilasa Echai Goshai Jabe Braje Koila Basa Echai Goshai Jabe Braje Koila Basa Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakasha Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakasha. Anande bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavana. Anande bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavana. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pare Majaya Mana. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pare Majaya Mana. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pal Padma Koriyasha. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pal Padma Koriyas Hari. Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naro Tamodasa. Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naro Tamodasa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Guru Dev, Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Jaya Guru Dev. Jai Saparikara Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Gupta Govardhan Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Saparshad Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Saparshad Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Shuddha Bhakti Vignaya, oh God, I always get Shuddha Bhakti Vinashaya Shri Nrsingadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravar Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai. Vrindavan Purushottam Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Pavan Janard Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Ganga Jamuna Ji Ki Jai. Grancharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaud Premanande Hari Hari Bol. And last thing I'll say is that remember that the totalitarian war against Maya is also happening within ourselves, but just to remember that, you know, it's out there. Like the more our devotees can come together, the more we can come together and chanting together, the stronger our army gets and the stronger our force field gets. And the more that Mahaprabhu and our Guru Varga are present in our minds and our temples and in our consciousness and psyche. So again, forget the past, it sleeps. Ne'er the future dream at all, but act in times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call. Meaning, Forget whatever else happened before and in the past. Right now is a time for Sankirtan, and this temple is here for Sankirtan, and so are the devotees. So be here for it. Come, show up. I really hope to see somebody on Thursday. One of you, two of you, three of you, four of you that are local, please come on Thursday so that I am not like wishing I had a four-armed form. Please come so we can chant together and read and sing. And of course, come to the bonfire. Come to the RTs whenever you can. They're here for you. They're for our benefit, our practice, and just remember that. Nothing else matters but our engaging in Sankirtan. And the more one-pointed we can be with our why, our purpose, our reason, the better. Just like, you know, Arjuna being asked, what do you see? The eye of the bird. What else do you see? Nothing. And then shoot, right? That story about the warriors. They're like, I see the branch, next. I see the tree, next. I see the foot of the next. Arjuna comes, I see the eye of the bird. What else do you see? Nothing else. Okay, now you can shoot your arrow. Everyone else roll out. So what is our point of focus? Harinam Sankirtan. Everything else is a distraction. It's Maya. If it's distracting you from coming to chant under the shelter of Gurudev's lotus feet and Gupta Govardhan, it's a distraction and it's Maya and it's eating your brain. So whoever is able, please come, let's chant together because we all need a little like Cheto Darpana Marjanam up in here. Okay, good night. Dandavat pranams. I'm going to put the camera in that direction one more time so you can all see the deities. And they can, you know, I'm sure they can see you. They're mystical. They have their ways. Shri Guru Vaishnava. Okay, whoever wants that last close-up. Jai. Look how beautiful they are every day and today. We got a longer parampada so everyone can be in the same line. Jai. And the deities will now be going to rest. Jai Tulsi Devi. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you on Thursday. It's probably around, I think what I'll do is sing the bhajans and then begin the class around 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll read from Revealed Truth. And as usual, tune in every day in the morning and in the evening to hear and participate in the Krishna Katha that's happening live here on the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Facebook page. Jai Gurudev, Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranams everyone. Shri Bhakti Sundara Deva Prabhu Shiromani Goswami Govinda Jaya Anande Rakani Swami Govinda Jaya Anande Rakani Ajanulambita Puja Divya Kaleva